I'm James Barjuda, and this is Shed Some Light. Today we're going to be talking about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. So without further ado, let's get right ahead into it. On May 14th, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. The U.S. President, Harry S. Truman, recognized the new nation on the same day. Palestine, the area of the Eastern Mediterranean region, comprising parts of modern Israel and the Palestinian territories of the Gaza Strip along the Mediterranean coast, the Mediterranean Sea, and the West Bank, west of the Jordan River. Why are Israel and the Palestine fighting now? The Gaza conflict explained. There is a long and unresolved conflict between the two countries in the heart of the Middle East. For more than a century, Jews and Arabs have disagreed over who should own the land between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea. Jerusalem has been the scene of violent confrontations between Jews and Arabs for 100 years and remains one of the most bitterly contested cities on earth. The latest clashes began a month ago with an Israeli move to block some Palestinian gatherings at the beginning of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, already a time of heightened religious sensitivities. After those restrictions eased, tensions over a plan to evict dozens of Palestinians from a East Jerusalem neighborhood continued to fuel confrontations. Who's involved? Hamas and the Israeli people and IDF. This is just a diagram showing what is the territory there, the lands there. The yellow strip there is Gaza, the Gaza Strip. And that is just the territories. The white part is the territories occupied by the Palestinians. And then where it says Israel is mostly Jewish. Heavily handed Israeli policing of Palestinian led to the use of CS gas and stun gun grenades inside the Al-Quds Mosque, a holy site for both Muslims and Jews. Palestinians have also been threatened with eviction from their homes in the Sheikh Jarrah, a Palestinian neighborhood outside the walls of the holy city, with the land and property claimed by the Jewish settlers, groups in the Israeli courts. This is just a big brief background, starting with how Israel became into existing, and just the whole conflict starting from 1949 of May all the way up until now. So here we go. Britain lifts the control over Palestine to the wake of the Second World War, and the Jewish People's Council declares the creation of the State of Israel. Palestinians object, and an armed conflict begins. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are made refugees. 1949, Israel signs an armistice agreement with the neighboring Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon, and Syria. The 1950s, regular skirmishes led to hundreds of deaths on both sides. The Suez Crisis started in 1956. The invasion of Egypt by Israel, the UK, and France to try to regain control of the Suez Canal. In 1957, Israel withdraws its forces after being assured of unimpeded navigation and safety by Egypt. February 1964, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, is founded in Cairo, by the Arab League. It states its goal as the destruction of the state of Israel, though armed struggle and its replacement with an independent Palestinian state between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. June 1967, the Six-Day War is triggered by Israel launching airstrikes on Egyptian air forces. Israel defeats and the pro-Palestinian forces captured the Sinai Peninsula and the Gaza Strip from Egypt, East Jerusalem and the West Bank from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. Up to 25,000 are killed, as many as 250,000 Palestinians displaced from their homes. On February 1964, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, is founded in Cairo by the Arab League. This is just a repeat from the next slide. 1987 to 1993, the first Intifada, a sustained series of Palestinian protests and violent riots against the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. In response, an Israeli Defense Force IDF truck collided with a civilian car, killing 4 Palestinian workers. As estimated, 1,162 to 1,204 Palestinians are killed in a skirmish with the IDF over the 6 years, along with 100 Israeli civilians and 60 IDF personnel. The Palestinian militant group Hamas is formed at this time and begins carrying out suicide bombs. 2000 to 2005, the Al-Qaddash Intifada. The second Intifada begins after the 2000 Camp David summit fails to reach final agreement on the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, and the Israeli leader Ariel Sharon makes a highly propagated visit to the Muslim Temple Mount, sparking protests. These protests escalated to warfare, with Israeli forces responding with tanks and airstrikes. In 2001, Hamas begins firing rockets into Israeli territories. Later that year, Abu Ali Mustafa, the General Secretary of the Popular Front of the Liberation Palestine, is assassinated by an Israeli missile. In total, about 3,000 Palestinians and over 1,000 Israelis are killed, and as well as 64 foreigners. What's going on from 2006 to the present time? The Gaza-Israeli conflict. The conflict over the Gaza Strip, a strip of land between southern Israel and Egypt, has been ongoing for the last 15 years. Hamas has frequently fired rockets at Israel, with Israeli forces launching airstrikes. According to Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, Israel remains an occupying power under international law, meaning it rules over Gaza without any formal claim to do so. The situation is complicated by the 2006 split in the Palestinian government, with the Fatah, the government in the West Bank, and the Hamas government in Gaza. The Fatah government is now internationally recognized as the sole representative of the state of Palestine and does not recognize the Hamas government. That's a key factor. This is just a side note, in 1988, the Fatah-led PLO declared independence as a government in exile, recognizing existence of the state of Israel, rejecting territories, and embraced a two-state situation. It pursued negotiation with Israel, and in 1993, Israel and the PLO signed a peace agreement, the Oslo Accords. Bonus info. Arabic, Quebec Ash Shakra, also erroneously referred to as the Mosque of Omar. This shrine to Jerusalem is the oldest extant Islamic monument. The rock over which the shrine was built is sacred to both Muslims and Jews. The Prophet Muhammad founded the founder of Islam is traditionally believed to have been ascended into heaven from this site. In Jewish tradition, it is here that Abraham, the progenitor of the first patriarch of the Hebrew people, said to have prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac. The dome of Al-Qurash Mosque are both located on the Temple Mount, the site of Solomon's temple and successors. Well, you guys, that's the conflict between Israel and Palestine explained. I truly hope that you got some information out of that. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. If not, go ahead and hit the dislike button. Hit the like button, dislike button. It don't matter all the same, or it does matter all the same. Again, I appreciate you. My name is James Barjuda. This is Shed Some Light. You guys have a blessed day. Peace.